All right. All right. All right. Oh, maybe I have to still fix my camera here. Still getting set up. Feeling good. Just walked into the office, the old side room office here. Still need to get my coffee in place, my energy, my my brown juice, bean juice. Okay, that's kind of gross. Oh, man. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining me here, either right now or in the future, if you're watching this afterwards. This is just ooh, dropping everything. So this is going to be a live stream, and obviously you're here. And I'm going to be recording a tutorial while I'm streaming. So you guys can ask questions or, you know, give some suggestions on what to add and and things like that, and I just wanted to do a basic tutorial because a lot of comments that I get on my videos are just to make like a basic super basic tutorial on the grease pencil and blender. So I'm gonna try and do an super basic. I mean, this is like ground zero of basic for the grease pencil. So if you already know how to, you know how to use the dope sheet or the layers and the brushes and stuff, this may be a little too beginner for you, but you know, I'm hoping to help out the people who are a little bit intimidated by Blender and the grease pencil, and just go and kind of explain some of the stuff um, within the grease pencil tool in Blender. I have something here. I'm still doing some setup here. Trying to see if I can make it so the little record button appears at the bottom left when I hit the record button. So bear with me. Give me a few more seconds. I guess I'll just keep talking here. Going up, I'm using Streamlabs to stream. So I'm just setting up some hotkeys here. Hotkey break. Color source. Let's do pause. Pause. Start recording. Stop recording. Okay. So I'm gonna hit my hotkey, and it should turn on the record, and then I should start recording. Nice. Let me lock that. There we go. So you should see a little record here. Right there. There's the record. So when that's on, I'm going to be recording for the video or for the tutorial. So I probably won't be responding to any like chat while I'm recording. Oh, Spitfire's here. Hey, Spitfire, how's it going? I am live now. Going on. What's going on? How's it going? I'm still setting up, making sure all my technical part is still set up to record. When this video records, it doesn't have me or this little button here, and it just has the video in the back. So I'm basically using this live stream as like a double whammy, like I do the live stream, I talk to you guys, I hang out, and then I also record the footage for the tutorial, which I'll make into a video later, and then I'll link that video once it's done, probably in the description on this video. Mm-mm-mm. All right, I'm doing some work, so I am watching on the side. Well, sounds good. I think you, Spitfire, will know most of this stuff. This is just gonna be some basic tutorial stuff. So, okay. All right. Oop. I did something wrong here. I have to hit. There we go. Okay, I think I got it set up. Now when I record for the video, the little record button should appear and vice versa on the bottom left, which is pretty neat. Ooh, you can't see the top of my there we go. Okay. I think I'm about set up here. Um and I'll start recording this tutorial. Let's see if I don't really have a let me get my outline at least. I don't really have a script for this tutorial. I'm just kind of wing it. It's probably a bad idea, but you know, whatever. We'll see if we can get it done. So I'm gonna go into the live stream. Ooh, that's so I'm gonna be doing this live stream. Here's basically the outline that I made. I mean, this is like a rough outline of what I'm gonna be going through. I'm just gonna be going through all the basic stuff here. Uh, the setup, where to download. See, this is some basic stuff. Some settings that you should set in the beginning, what that I think you should set. We're gonna be going through some brushes and the brush shortcuts, and I'll probably stumble along that as I stumble through my shortcuts. How the eraser works, materials, the vertex paintings for the materials, how it works. I always have trouble, under getting somebody else to understand how the vertex painting works. Editing and editing mode, sculpting mode, the layers, modifiers. This may be a little ambitious actually. VFX. And I went through some basic ones that, people usually use. Maybe go a little bit through the dope sheet. This is probably my least experience here, so I'll probably need some suggestions if you guys know any more stuff here, and resources at the end, people to check out and things like that. So this tutorial will probably take multiple streams, and I'm hoping to stream multiple times in the week now instead of just once a week. So I'm aiming for that. This is basically what we're going to be going through, all real basic stuff. For the people in the comments, this is for everybody in the comments that asked for a basic tutorial. Ooh, no. So yeah, Spitfire's like, sweet, no doubt, blah blah blah. I need to freshen up. Are you going to cover the new fill tool? And I am not covering the fill tool. That'll probably be like another video. This is just going to be like the ground work of 2.90, so like the stable version, before we get into any of the experimental stuff. And if these streams go well, and if these streams work out, I will continue to make my tutorials this way, uh, because I find it kind of fun being live and recording the video and kind of like hanging out instead of doing like a tutorial by myself and stuff. This is kind of in my face here, a little high. Let me get it at a better spot. There you go. Okay, let me take a sip of coffee and we'll start these tutorials. Okay. Ah, dude, Blender 2.92 version is not opening for me. It's crashing. Ooh, I have not used 2.92. That's the experimental one, right? That's the one that's still being coded in. I mean, I can only recommend the basic stuff that people usually say is like, have you tried re-downloading it? If you tried uninstalling it, re-downloading it. I'm not sure about that. All right, here you go. Let me put this away. This here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. One take, everything, right? Here we go. All right, I'm gonna. Oh, forgot one last thing. All right, hitting the record button. Pause, break. Oh no, is it pause, break? Cool, so it's recording. I have the record button right here. So it's recording for the tutorial. That's pretty neat. Okay. Maybe I should have reversed the colors, like a red background and white text. Anyway, let's start this. I'm procrastinating now. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the Grease Monkey channel and welcome to this video. This is going to be a basics of the grease pencil in Blender 2.90.1, so the stable version of Blender. I'm going to be going over some like really basic stuff throughout a lot of the grease pencil feature, a lot of the grease pencil tool, kind of like a beginner's guide. I get a lot of comments asking for like really basic tutorials, and I really don't have really basic tutorials, so this is going to be it. Um, and I hope this helps you out. I hope this works for you. We're gonna start right from the very beginning, and then go down to the resources that you can use to further your learning. We're gonna go through most of the things. We're not gonna go through everything. Okay, there's plenty of stuff on YouTube to really expand your advancedness, but this is just for the beginners back there in the back seat. I can see you over there, who just need a little help getting started in Blender. Okay. All right. So first thing we want to do is we want to download Blender, and that's where we just go to the website, and I'll bring it up here. And so you go to blender.org, not .com, not .net. Just go to blender.org and you'll see this page. Right now they're doing a Blender conference, or they went through the Blender conference. So this should be the splash page. Usually there's a cool artwork here. You go to downloads. This is where you'll be greeted with the download button. So this download button here is going to be the most stable version that you're going to get. So download Blender 2.90.1, and today's date, what is it? As the November 14th, it is Blender 2.90.1. So if you're watching in the future, it may be a higher number. So this is the one you're going to be downloading. This is the one I'm going to be working with, and I'm doing it because it's the most stable. The ones that are higher are more experimental, but they have new features that you can play with before it becomes part of the Blender package. And if you wanted to get that experimental feature, you just have to scroll down on the page and you'll see this big red banner here, and it says download experimental. They have this cool little icon here. You click download experimental and you can see that it'll have 2.91 and 2.92 alpha. So alpha is, I mean, you're on the bleeding edge of Blender. You're getting those features as they're being committed into the GitHub, as they're right there in the code. I usually don't work in this. I usually when I do my artwork, I like to have a flow. So when it crashes, it kind of ruins my flow. So I usually stick with the stable version. I do dip into the experimental to test out the new features and see what's coming up ahead and stuff. And yeah, so just click on that, download it, and then I have it right here. So we're gonna do it right. We're gonna do it right with you guys. It's gonna be tedious. We're gonna do it. So here it is. Just double click it and install. So I'm gonna install it now. Oh, it looks like it's still already installed. I thought I removed it. 1 second. I'm going to remove my Blender, all of it. I'm gonna cut this out. Forgot to uninstall it. Okay, great. All right. Double click on the file, Blender 2.90.1, hit next. I agree. Make sure you read every single part of this terms end of user license agreement, as everybody should and does, right? Everybody. And hit install. I won't install it. So this is gonna be right there, right fresh. Fresh install. Since I'm cutting this out, let's read some of the chat here. But others are working on it. Are they changing the basic requirements to run Blender? Are they changing the basic requirements to run Blender? Man, I'm not sure. All right, so when the installation finishes, hit finish, and then double click on Blender. And boom, you've installed, I've installed, you've installed, we've installed a fresh Blender 2.90.1. All right. So this is how I'm basically going to be doing it. I'm going to record it in sections. That's like the installation section. Let me look at my list of what I'm doing here. Let me just put this in a manageable size. I want to go one by one. We're going to download and numpad. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So next we're just going to be going into Blender, starting a new animation, doing some input changes. Okay. I think we're good on that. All right, so this section we are doing, is there a way to check mark these? Let's see. That'll be nice, right? Oh, control enter. So control enter. Oh, nice. Okay, where to download and install. Got it. All right, next video, the next part is do TD animation, and settings. All right, now that we're in Blender, you're going to be greeted with this beautiful splash page here. And every version, usually 2.91, 2.90, and 2.89, they usually have a different artwork. And the artist's name is usually in the corner somewhere. You can definitely check that out. But if you ever wanted to download these like files to like look at them, to see how these artworks look in Blender, because these are made in Blender, you can download those right on the download page. So if you go back to the download page, you click on downloads and go to demo files, you can see that you can download all the splash screens. Here's the one that we're on now, Splash Fox, and you can download these demo files and look through them and learn from them. And I think it's very beneficial to open up other Blender files, color Vortex. All these are, it's just beautiful stuff. The classic car demo that a lot of GPUs get tested on for benchmarks, classroom. This is always great. His name's Andrew. Yeah, Andrew. Maybe his name's Andreas, though. His full name. Anyway, just definitely check out these demo files. They're very cool. And every time you see a cool artwork, just know that you can go and open up that file. You can just do it. Blender just allows you to do it. It's pretty amazing. Check these out. All right, so first thing we will do will be going to new file, 2D animation. So we click on that. And this will basically set up, oh man. let me pause here. All right, I have like my settings set up already for Blender. Let me see if I can load the factory defaults. Is that what it is? There it is. Okay. Okay. See, this is what recording a tutorial is like. You mess up a little. Also, I didn't plan any of this, so maybe that's my that's why it's going this way. Okay. Let's try this again. All right, so the first thing you want to do when you open up Blender will be going to, since you want to do grease pencil, you want the setup, since Blender's a multiple very capable tool of 3D and 2D nowadays. you want to set up your layout so it's made for 2D animation or 2D work or 2D art or whatever. And that'll be on the left side here. You go to new file, 2D animation. You click on that. And right now it's showing that it's gray, but the way it would normally look would be, let me load up the defaults. There we go. So you should be greeted with this white page. You should be in draw mode already. You should have a stroke in there. It basically sets up your entire setup. It is so you're on 2D animation. You can see it up here, 2D canvas, compositing, rendering. It sets up your whole layout to be ready for 2D animation and 2D art and stuff. So that's the first thing you want to do. Boom. Now we're here. Now that we have the layout set up, I want to set up a couple settings. I'm using a tablet and a drawing tablet. It's what is this called? An XP Pen Deco 3. I'll put up an image on the screen here. That's what I'm using. It's really like not an expensive tablet. It's not like a Cintiq. Doesn't have a screen. It's just a normal tablet. And there are some settings that I like to change right when I get into Blender, right? So when I'm using the pen, if you middle click, it actually, see how it orbits? It takes me out of the camera and I orbit around this center point. And I don't really need that as like when I'm drawing in 2D and stuff. So let me put on my screencast keys, because I am a mess. Okay. Okay. Oh man, are my screencast keys? Okay, we're gonna have to pause again. Let's do black. Black work, no shadow. All right, so should I have my screencast keys put on? We're gonna stumble along. We're gonna get into a flow of this. I promise. But if you want to see this video fully, if it's in the future, the finished basic tutorial should be in the description. We're just going along the ride. We're hanging out with me, stumbling through making this. All right. All right. I am going through some technical difficulties. Where are my... This is what it feels like, guys. This is what it's like. You make tutorials. If you're ever gonna make a tutorial in the future, just know that this is how what happens as you make it. What is happening? Gotta go to new, to the animation, blah, blah, blah. We'll go to load factory defaults, because I definitely need my defaults for everybody who's following along. Get my screencast keys. Beautiful. Screencast. We'll make it black for now, right? Let's put this on the right side. Those keys are really small. So let's make that font bigger. That's huge. There you go. Right aligned. There we go. Okay. Okay, guys. All right, let's try this one more time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna save. This is the startup file. Beautiful. Why won't this stay? All right, we're gonna start recording in about a minute here. We're gonna do it one and two in the second take. That's what we're gonna do it on. Save. Black. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go, guys. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna record it and record. All right, now that we're here on the Blender splash page, the first thing we want to do is set up our Blender layout to be set up for 2D work and 2D animation and 2D art. So on the left side, you'll see a new file. These are different setups you can have. If you do VFX or video editing, this will set up your layout so it works for the thing that you want to do. The thing we want to do is 2D animation. So here we go. We'll click 2D animation. You'll be greeted with this white page. You'll be greeted with the layout that works for 2D animation will be in draw mode, stroke. That may not mean much to you right now, but just know that we are on the way. So let me turn on my screencast keys. There it is. So it's on the right side there. You can see the keys that I'm pressing. So the first thing I want to set up is since I'm using a tablet and pen, I'm just using an X Pen Deco 03. I'll put an image on the screen for you here. And it's just a normal tablet. I think it was like $100 or less. I got it on a sale. But that's what I'm using here. So if you're using a mouse, you can definitely use a mouse, but you won't have that pressure sensitivity, which could be very important when you're doing some drawings. But you could definitely do it with the mouse. It's just going to be a lot harder for you. So the first settings I want to change are, so when I middle click, which is on my pen, I want to be able to pan, so I want to move around. But when I middle click right now, you see, oh, it does pan. Never mind. So sometimes this is set up incorrectly where it orbits. And I just go to the settings, file, preferences, and then go to, I think it's navigation. Is that what it is? Key map. There it is. So if you go to key map under your preferences, sometimes it's this middle mouse action is set to orbit. And what that is mostly used for is for like 3D. So if I were to click here, you see that I'm orbiting around. It may be hard to see with it being so white. And you want this to pan. So you just can move around your canvas. So we'll switch it back to pan. And that's really the only setting that I would really change to start. Okay, what's the next one? We're just gonna knock these out. Control Enter. All right, emulate numpad and middle mouse click. All right, so we're gonna do middle mouse pad and click. Here we go. So if you're on a laptop, another setting I like to change is if you don't have on the laptops, you usually don't have numpads, and I use the numpads to orient the camera. So if I press 1 on the numpad, I'm looking, it's kind of hard to see. Let me make this easier to see. You can see here in the top left, the camera I'm looking through. I'm looking through front orthographic. And if I press 3, I'm looking at the right side. And if I press 7, the top. And sometimes you would need this for 3D. And you want to use the numpad shortcuts, but you don't have it on your laptop. So you just go to Edit, Preferences, and go to Input and go to Emulate Numpad right at the top. So what this does is that if you don't have a numpad, it will make the shortcuts that are usually on the numpad on your 1 through 9 keys and 0 on the top of your QWERTY keyboard. So now if I press 1 on the, or if I press 1, 3, 5, it'll give me the different perspectives and camera angles that I need using the numbers above the letters if you don't have a numpad. That's another option you may want to check. And also if you're on a laptop, another tool you can use is this overlay right here. And this overlay, you could just, if you have like a pen, you can go to this overlay and you can rotate by clicking in it and rotating like this. You can zoom in by pressing on the magnifying glass, pan with the hand. And those are basically the ones that you'll be using the most. But if you don't like this being here, like it's taking up space, you can turn it off by pressing this little button here, which is Show Gizmo. I like the word gizmo. Oh, Show Gizmo. And it goes away and it saves you space. So for me, I'm going to be leaving it off for now. Okay. Boom. All right. So first thing we're going to go through is the brushes. So let's start going through the different brushes. All right, now that we got the settings out the way and we got our layout set up, we can start going through the basics of all the grease pencil stuff. So first thing I like to call your attention to is the left here. It's the draw function or the draw feature. Function sounds like a computer term. A draw feature, and you could choose the type of brush you have either up here in the top left. So we got, click on this little icon here and you'll see that we're on pencil. There's pencil soft, there's pen, markers, bold, and these are just some really basic brushes. You can also choose your brushes by going here on the pen on the right, clicking on, ooh, I left it. Clicking on this, what's this little tab called? Active Tool and Workspace Settings. And you can also change it here by clicking the icon here. And you can also change it by right clicking. So if you see my mouse here on the bottom right, you see that I'm right clicking and you can change. Oh, never mind. You cannot change it here. So you can change it in two places. You can change it in the top left and you can change it on the panel on the right. You choose. And these are some basic ones. Like you can use these for sketching. You can see that this has a little lighter. If you have a pen and a pen tablet, your settings for pressure are up here next to the radius and strength. So this little icon here on the right is to have pressure or to not have pressure. Sometimes you want it off. You just want it to be one solid strength. You see 100%, no pressure, just dark. With pressure, dark to light depending on the pressure. So that's your settings for your tablet. And so if you want to change your brush settings, you can set it, change them up here on radius, as I mentioned, and the strength up here. But a shortcut key for this, which I suggest that you should learn so you don't always have to move your mouse to the top, is to press the F key. And the F key makes your brush size bigger and smaller. And if you wanted to make change the strength, I believe it's Shift F. And this changes the strength. You can see the strength changes up here. So here it is at 100%. Here it is at like 0.1%. If I hit the heart, with the pressure, I can't even get it at 200%, but you can start laying up these strokes, you know, have some fun with that. All right, so F and Shift F. I definitely think you should remember these shortcut keys for your drawings. Very important. And just so you could see the different types of brushes, I'll just mark them here, light to dark. This is a, pencil. It's actually pretty big. So let's make it smaller with F. Pencil. I usually use, the one I usually use the most is pencil and ink, you know, uh, because I don't know, they're nice. One's already set up to be dark, one's set up to be light, so you could do some sketching. We have the ink rough, which is kind of gives it this neat like little painterly effect where it gives it wobbly edges. I'm sure there's a technical term for that. Wobble edges. Wobble edges. Okay. We'll cut that out. All right. But the main three, just to not overwhelm anybody, is that I want you guys to remember is the pencil and the ink. I'm sorry, the pencil and the pen. I call it, pencil, the pen, and the ink pen. The ink pen, I believe, has the pressure on it, right? And then I believe the pen does not have pressure. Yeah, there you go. So those are the three that you should really pay attention to. You don't really have to concern yourself right now with the rest of these. But if you're just starting out, don't want to get overwhelmed. Either use the pencil, use the pen, or use the ink pen. That's all you should use. All right, let's hope that section wasn't really long. All right, let's keep on going, keep on trekking. We're gonna plow through this, guys. One take. So I covered the brushes. I covered the brush shortcuts, brush mode, and brush projections. What did I mean by that when I wrote that? Brush mode? You guys, if you guys can refresh me with this brush mode, I've written for a reason. Is it this? Am I talking about this? What am I talking about? Origin, draw. Yeah, when I wrote this, I don't think stroke projections really pertinent right now for somebody who's just starting out, but I did write it. Brush modes. Well, I did the inks. I guess the modes are the things that I wrote. Doesn't matter. We're probably going to go to eraser now. All right, so let's just go to eraser. All right, I'm just testing out the eraser to remind myself. Yeah. Remember how it works. I barely use the eraser. I usually use the edit mode. Mode is more for 3D space, for flat origin views enough, or front. Thank you, Spitfire, for helping me confirm. I get a little undecisive up here. Thank you. I would definitely just skip on mode right now. Yeah, I'll just skip on mode. All right, so let's go to eraser. Let's start recording that one. All right, hold on. Let me get some coffee here. You can hear me drinking coffee in HD. Eraser, a Spitfire. Eraser has modes, strokes being the best. Thank you. I will definitely add that in. All right. Are we recording? We are recording. Here we go. All right, the next tool that we're going to be going over is the eraser tool, which is right here on the left side. And you can go to the eraser tool by just going on the left panel on the toolbar or tool panel. I believe it's called the tool panel on the left side here. And if you don't see the tool panel, a way to make it go away or come back is pressing the T. So if you just press T, it goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So there's two ways, I think there's two ways to go to the eraser tool. You can obviously just go and click on the eraser tool, boom, and then start erasing. Or the second way that you can go there is if you use a shortcut key, and it's shift space. So if you hit shift space, this gives you a toolbar, a menu, I should say, of all the tools that you can currently choose, right? So if you hit shift space, once again, you'll see this menu. You can go draw, fill, erase, tint, cutter. So you can either obviously click on it. So shift space and then hit erase. And now you're on the erase tool. But another way you can do this, and it's a lot quicker, right, is if you hold shift and then you press spacebar and you hold the spacebar, right? And then you just put your mouse over the tool and then you let go, it'll choose that tool. And I think that's a very important thing to know for shortcuts, is that if you hold the shift space and then highlight the tool that you want and then you let go, it chooses the tool for you. And another way to do it, let's say you hit shift space but you let go, you could press the number or the letter corresponding on the right side here. So you could press 2, which is for eraser. So once again, shift space gives you the menu. But if you hold shift space and highlight it, the tool that you need with your mouse, and let go of the shift space, it should choose it. It didn't choose it. Oh, I was already on erase. So see it, go over draw, let go, it chose it. Shift space, go to erase, hover over it, it chooses it. So now that we're in the erase tool, there's a few things you need to know. The shortcut F carries over from the brush to the eraser. If you hit F, you can make it bigger. If you hit Shift F, you can do the strength. And you can control the settings right here on this top bar here. And you can see that the little icon for pressure here. So if you have a pen, you can select that. And the three things that I think you should focus on for this is the three different modes you can have. You can have dissolve, you can have point, and you can have stroke. What dissolve does, it basically just kind of starts erasing it, right? And it makes it like invisible. And I say this, I'm using, I think, my words very specifically, that it makes it invisible because this stroke technically is still here. So if I go to edit mode by hitting tab, oh no, never mind. It goes away. Never mind. I must be working on the mindset of a different one. So basically, it'll make it lighter until it goes away, and then it erases the point. If you go to point mode, this doesn't even go through the fading phase, and it just erases the point. You see how fast that line goes away? So this may be cool to trim up edges, or if you have some edges coming out. It can be kind of like finicky, and by finicky, I just mean that you have to get in there, really zoom in sometimes if you really need to get something and erase it. So, and then the third one is that it will just erase an entire stroke. So if you see this whole stroke here, all these dots, it'll just erase that whole thing. Anything that's connected, it will erase. I have it on good word that stroke is one of the more likely one that you would use in a drawing scenario. Usually you would let me hit shift space, go to draw. You draw your lines. You draw your lines and you don't like it. You obviously can go and erase like the points, but then it kind of makes it look weird, gives it kind of like a harsh line. You basically just go to stroke, erase the whole thing, shift space, draw, and just redraw. Or you could just hit undo, But stroke, will probably be the one that you use the most if you're using a lot of strokes and stuff. But hey, use them all. Honestly, I don't know what you're doing in your project. Use dissolve, point, stroke. Just know that I like to use stroke. I like to use point occasionally. And I barely ever use dissolve. Barely do I ever use dissolve. So that's the eraser tool. That's basically all you need to know. There's obviously a lot more to this eraser tool. Uh, a little bit more, not a lot more. But that's basically it. All right, we recorded the eraser tool. Hopefully, this video is probably going to be like very long. I'm pretty long-winded. They may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Some people like those like 5-minute tutorials or 5-second tutorials. Hubert, is it that his name? Hubert, he does like those really like fast tutorials. He's a great guy. Great guy. All right, so we did it. We did brush strokes, brush modes. Beautiful. Oops. And we're gonna skip stroke projection because that may be, I don't know, a little too advanced. And then for eraser, we did the settings, which are pretty simple, which is the brush size, opacity, and the modes, which is the dissolve, point, stroke. Beautiful, beautiful. Now we can go to materials, and this is gonna be tough. I'm winging all this, so let's hope that I don't just stumble along. Oh, Marcellum, how's it going? Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. I'm recording a tutorial right now, and you can see me stumble along the whole thing. I'm basically live streaming, recording the tutorial, and I'm going to use the recordings, because it doesn't include my picture and stuff like that, to make a very, very basic grease pencil tutorial that everybody usually asks for in my comments. So you could see me stumble along and see how tedious and long making a tutorial can be and can feel like, especially when, you stumble along your words, or if you're like me, you don't plan anything. You didn't, oh, I did plan. Technically, this is a plan, right? But I didn't I don't know, I didn't write anything. I'm just kind of like going through bullet points here. Um, and I think it'll take multiple streams, but I think we're knocking these out pretty good, and I may re-record some of these, so. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Hopefully it's not too boring this stream. This stream may be a little boring for people since I'm not making some fabulous artwork or anything. All right, and right now we're going to be going to materials. Great. So let's do that. Let's go to materials. Let's get set up. Yep. That. I hope you're having a good day though. Hope you're here. I'll usually read the chat in between the recordings. You'll see when I'm recording when the button's on the bottom left here. And let's set up for materials. The blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Blah blah blah. Me. I'm just kidding. Okay. Here you go. What am I doing? Materials, right? Did I have to like strokes, fills, and gradients, and then talk about how vertex painting works, and then go to edit mode, and go from there. Okay, here we go. Start recording. All right, now that you know how to use the brush and you know how to use the eraser, and we're all set up for drawing, you want to know, you want to draw something other than a black line. You want to move beyond the color of the stroke. So now we're going to go into materials. The two places that you can go to materials, and this might be deja vu because it's been the same for the eraser and the brush, is if you go to the top left, you'll see on your what's this menu called? I should know this. Hold on. Is this called a header? maybe called the header or menus. Anyway, if you go up to the menus in the top left, and you'll see the brush that you're using, and to the right of it you'll see the material, and you'll see that it comes when you open up a fresh blender. It'll already come with 4 materials, some strokes and some fills. You see that if I go to this red one, it's a red polka dot. I don't know. Red dotted, red lined. If you go to this fill, you see that it's not making a stroke. It's actually making like a shape out of the shape that you make with your brush. And then we have this dotted one, which is the same as that red one. Anyway, so let's say you want something other than these 4 basic materials. Another place to look at it, and a place that I usually look at it because it's a little bit more detailed, is on the right side panel here. So if you go to the tab that's like this little ball with 2 different colors, it's called material properties. We'll go to material properties, and you see your material properties right here on the right side. So these materials are the ones in your project file, and we're just gonna erase them and just make new ones. I don't know, I hardly ever use the ones that it comes with. I'm always surprised when they have 4 of them. Like, yeah, everybody definitely needs a gray. That's what people use. So let's erase all 4. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so we're gonna just make a new material, right? So hit new. Here we are, we're a material. And these are the first 2 options I want you to pay attention to are stroke and fill. And these 2 options determines how your ink or material, behaves. So if you're on stroke, what it's going to do is it's going to act like how you expect it to. It's going to act like a pencil or a pen or any sort of writing utensil. And then you can change the color here. So if you just click on the base color, and then you mess with the colors, you'll see that I have different colors. And the way that materials work is that you do all your drawings, you use all your materials, you draw, and let's say that you think that this should have been a darker shade. What's powerful about this is that it's kind of like non-destructive, where I can just go and I can change the color, and now it's red. And now it's green. So when you're making your drawings, doing your drawings, you're going to be setting up one material for one color, or gradient or whatever you use. One material, one color, and you're basically going to be picking and choosing exactly the colors that you want to use, and they're always going to be persistent in your project, and you're always going to be able to edit them in this menu. There's a different thing called vertex painting, which we'll get into after this. So here we go. We got the stroke. You know about changing the colors on the left side, which is pretty good. Let's go and choose a different different setting for the material. So let's make a new material. Do it again. Material 001. Let's make this a color that stands out with this green, blue. So let's say the other setting you have here is fill, right? So if I have this stroke, uncheck mark it and check fill, you'll see that it's now black and not blue, and that's because it's using this black color under fill. So let's change this to blue. But let me show you a little shortcut here that you can use to copy colors to different places. So if you just hover your mouse over the color on stroke, this blue stroke here, right, the color, and you hit Control C, right, and then you go and put your mouse over the color on fill and hit Control V, boom, it changes the color. This is something that I don't think Blender, or there's no it's not spoken about very often. I haven't seen it, but if you just do Control C, Control V, and hover your mouse over the color, you can transfer the colors to different materials. So like if this was green, watch me do it again. Control C while I'm hovering, and Control V while I'm hovering over the fill, and now it's green. Very useful keyboard shortcut that I also think you should know. So here we go. So the way the fill works is that you make the shape, and then it closes off the shape, and then it fills it in the inside. I use this tool a lot because the way I like to draw in Blender is by making shapes. So if I were, and let me erase everything here. So when I do my drawings, I usually just make shapes. So I'll do the shape and I build off silhouettes. You know, I try to just leave the white spaces and just really build out the shapes. And this is how I like to draw in Blender, but I mean, you can find your own way of drawing. You know, this guy has a hat or something, and you know, and it's very quick to make concepts and stuff. So that's how I like to use this fill tool. And this is how this fill tool is useful. Another useful way to use the fill tool is just to you know, fill in outlines where you're just like don't need to use the bucket tool over there. All right, cool. So those are the two materials, one using the stroke and one using the fill. Another thing that you can do, another option, and you know, I don't want to dip too much into this because you know, I don't use it too often, but if you're a beginner, maybe you'd want to know that the option is there. So if I use this fill tool, and let's make it a fun color, like purple, purple or blue. Okay, so we'll make this fill. Another style, right, that you can do for this, instead of just filling it, you can use a gradient. So let's go to the style gradient, and you can see that it makes a gradient out of your fill tool, and you can pick your colors here. And let's say we wanted green and blue, right? We got this nice like transition here. And the way that this works is that anytime you draw a shape, it'll calculate the gradient from the furthest point, from end to end, basically, of the shape of your thing. So if I make something like this, if I make a circle, and then this is the inappropriate shape, you can see that this is all blue down here, but then it just stays pink over here. And this can be cool for like some different styles. I can definitely see somebody having a lot of fun with the gradient tool. As for right now, if you're just starting out in Blender, you probably won't be using this tool or this style as often. But if you are, definitely use it. Send me pictures. I love the gradient tool. So let's change this back to solid. And you can do the same thing with the stroke. Gradient tool. Oh, there it is. No, you can't do it with the... That's interesting. Am I doing this wrong? Hold on. Never mind. So you can do it with the fill tool. And that's basically what you need to know for the materials, how to change them, knowing that every color is going to have its own material. I really suggest naming all your materials because it's going to start getting pretty crazy when you have, you know, a million materials and they're just material 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. All right. So I went through materials. Maybe it was a little long-winded on that. Maybe I could re-record it. But you know what? We're just gonna keep on moving on. All right, so we went over stroke, we went over fill, and we briefly went over gradients. Okay. All right, so Vertex paint. Blech. I kind of don't like explaining Vertex paints. If you guys can figure out a way to efficiently explain Vertex paints, let me know. I'm gonna wing it here, and you let me know how well I do, or if I have to re-record it if it doesn't make sense. I barely use Vertex paints. Oh man, I like the material method. Okay, all right, all right. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay in the chat there? Having fun? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Nobody has said anything. This is my little in between my recordings. If you want to say something and me answer it, please send it now while I sip this coffee. Time is of the essence. Ask me anything. This coffee is like a day old. Reheated in the microwave if you wanted to know. I put a lot of creamer in it. Make it taste a little better. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're gonna go to Vertex painting now. Ferdwin, good day. Grease Monkey, Ferdwin, thank you. Thank you. Good day to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us, hanging out while everybody watches me stumble, making a tutorial. and go through the process of recording a very basic grease pencil tutorial. Everybody, Ferdwin says hi. Say hi to Ferdwin, please. Please, someone, anyone. I see you there. I see the numbers. 6 people are here. I see all 6 of you. All right, let's keep going. Vertex painting, how it works. All right, guys, going in. We're gonna go in. Thank you guys in the chat. Suzanne Uncle, hi. Very nice. Thank you, Suzanne, for joining. Susan, Suzanne, Susan, Suzanne. Okay, I'm done. I'm recording. As you see, Ferdwin, I'm recording right here, so that means that I'm like recording like the tutorial part, so I may not answer the chat. All right, here you go. Oh, yes. Oh man, my text is so small. Burned, Burn Fashinger. Thank you for joining. Thank you for saying hi in the chat. I appreciate everybody here interacting with each other, chatting. Makes me feel less alone. You know what? I'm gonna start the recording again since that was just a big thank you to everybody. Okay. Ah, Australia, nice. Hi from California. All right, now that we learned about materials and how each material color, it's persistent throughout your project file, you can change it. We're gonna learn a different way of using materials, and that's gonna be with Vertex paints. And this is, I don't know, sometimes a little tricky to explain or tricky to understand. I still feel like it comes off a little programmery. Maybe not programmery, but like, I don't know, maybe it's not like user friendly. Maybe it's not it's not easily discernible. So here we go. So to do vertex paints basically is the ability to draw, pick a different color, draw again, pick a different color, and not have just a million materials here on the right side for each and every color that you're making, right? So to activate vertex paint mode, which is a different way of drawing and painting, is you go up here to the top of the menu while you're on your brush, and you'll see this little icon here. Every time I look at this icon, it honestly looks like a little like Among Us character or a little character holding up like dumb weights, like weights at the top like this. I don't go to the gym. I don't know what that's called, but the dumbbells, I don't know. But yeah, if you see this icon at the top right, I mean on top of the menu, right next to the material icon, it's called Vertex color. And this is a mode. So right now we're using material, and if we switch to Vertex, here it is, right? So now we have activated the vertex painting mode, and this is the color that we have currently. So when I paint, it's going to paint green. So if I go into the colors and I pick a different color, boom, it's red. Go to the colors, boom, pink, and I don't have I was about to curse, a bunch of materials listed here on the materials, right? And if you go to this icon here, you can have your palette on the right side. Maybe this will be easier for you to choose, and you can choose your different colors. And this may be a way that you want to work, but there are some caveats for me that I have to point out. And it's that, so let's say you do all your coloring, right? These are exactly the colors that you want to have, and we'll go to material mode. This vertex paint, right, is part of this material, whatever material you're using, right? So if you watch, if I make this material invisible, all the strokes go away because all these strokes are part or attached to this material using vertex paint. So if I go back to material, you see that I go back to black and just whatever the material here, whatever color this is. But if I go back to vertex paint, it'll go to this color, and then I'll paint the color that I choose at the top here. And the reason I don't like using this is because I like to be very deliberate with the colors that I choose, and I like to be able to be like, oh, I would love this yellow to be red, right? I can't change it anymore like I used to because they're all the colors are attached to this material. And I just don't like that I don't have that option or that versatility. So I usually never use Vertex paint. Another thing to look out for with Vertex paint, let me erase all these strokes. Another thing to look out with Vertex paint is, let's say I want to make a fill, right? So if you go and you take off the stroke, put on the fill, um, like yeah, I guess that's what you have to look out for, whether you're on the stroke or the fill. And you select what you want here. But let's say you wanted to, you know, do this stroke pink, and then you wanted a green fill. So let's go here. Let's make this a fill. Now it's filling this, and you don't want these filled. You want these to be strokes. So then you take off strokes. Now this is fill, and you go back. So there's kind of like a weird back and forth with this like stroke, fill, and I don't know. I find it just a little bit confusing for like a beginner to like really like make use of. But if you get it and you understand it, definitely go for it. And also you can make the Vertex paint only affect one of the stroke or the fill. So if you go to the color, go to the bottom, go to mode, you can only make the stroke, the Vertex paint affect the fill. So let's say I go to affect fill and it makes it green, right? But let's say I add a stroke. So now it's using the color of this gray stroke, right, on here. But then it's using the Vertex paint, right, green for the fill. But it's all attached to this one material that all the other ones are attached to. And you can see how this is kind of getting muddy. Like there's just too many little options going on, and this can easily, I think, trip somebody up when they're trying to color or paint. So I definitely suggest, I guess at least in the beginning, to use just the material. Also, what is happening here? Just to use the material mode, which is up here in the top left, instead of Vertex paint. And then once you get more acclimated into the Blender software and the options and stuff, and you understand how all that works, then definitely, you know, jump into Vertex paint. But if you're just jumping into Blender, just use the material and just choose the colors that you want and go for them. At least that's what I suggest. You know, definitely do whatever you want. And that's pretty much Vertex painting. All right, on to the next one. All right, stop recording for the tutorial. Let me read the chat here. No problem from Australia. Ooh, Burns from Germany. Pretty awesome. Nice to see you. Susan Uncle. So yes, so I think, in my opinion, you should just stick with, in the beginning, while you're learning Blender, while you're learning how to draw, while you're learning grease pencil, to use the material and just just pick and choose the colors that you want, and not get muddied up with Vertex paint. Vertex paint was a feature that people really wanted, and it's here, and I'm glad it's here. But I find that it can be confusing for people, so I would suggest that. But honestly, up to you. If you're living on the edge, you understand how that works, go for it, Susan. Do your thing. But right now, I like to use just material. I like to be very deliberate. All right, let's go on to the next thing on the list. All right, Vertex painting, how it works. Check. All right, editing modes. All right, so selecting the stroke, transforming the stroke, thickness tool. Ferdwin, Vertex paint kind of reminds me a bit of color palettes in soft image tunes. I never used soft image tunes. But yeah, makes sense. Is it as confusing, or do they have like a better way of, I don't know, presenting it? It's very hard for me to even articulate why I don't like the way Vertex paints is set up. Like there's just too many left, right, up, down. There's just too much stuff going on. Ferdwin, you could pick ink, stroke, and paint fill colors, reorder them, and then name them. Ooh, That's pretty cool. Seems like it works a little better. Also, maybe I'm not even using Vertex Paint right. Maybe I'm in the wrong, guys. There's always that possibility. All right. So next we're going to be going through the edit modes. So we're going to be going to stroke. Verduin, you load and preload colored images of a designed color. Interesting. What if that's a better way of doing it? Verduin, the eyedropper all the colors into the palette. Huh. Would you say it works better, Verduin? Do you like it better? Do you like how Blender's doing it? And do you like vertex painting? Have a better look at the vertex painting ordering options. Ah, so I may be in the wrong here. Have a better look at the vertex painting ordering options. All right, so slight detour. When you say the vertex painting ordering, what exactly do you mean? My is it? I'm not sure. It depends on the project. Okay. All right, so let's keep on trucking. Let's keep on trucking. So the next thing we're doing is editing modes. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up Mrs. Suzanne here. Let me create a Susanna. Boom. Ferdinand, well, you're approaching it purely from an illustration standpoint. The little plus and let's see. Ah, so this is what you're talking about, new palette colors. Then adding the colors, right? Picking all the colors that you're going to be using, and then using the Vertex paint, right? And then painting it because you already have your colors set up and you don't need to change after the fact, right? I guess is what you're saying. Hopefully I'm understanding what you're saying, Ferdinand. All right, so we're going to use Suzanne here as an example for the editing mode. Okay, Suzanne. Okay. So we're recording. Going live. All right. So we're in Blender. Got Suzanne here. Gonna be going in edit mode. Okay. Gotta get into to character. See, this is all part of the tutorial making. Just gotta focus. Okay. All right, so now you use the strokes, you painted, vertex painted, material painted, you made your beautiful art piece like Suzanne here. Beautiful grease pencil Suzanne. So the power of using this 3D software, or using this software in particular, maybe it isn't not particularly 3D, is that you can edit these strokes after the fact without having to like redraw them, and you'll be able to have a lot of control. And this is really where the power of Blender and using this 3D environment and 2D and using 2D in it comes into play. So to get into edit mode, you'll be able to see all the strokes and the vertices that makes up those strokes. So let's go into edit mode, and to do that we'll hit tab. And tab will bring you right here into edit mode, and you'll see on the top left that you are in edit mode. Great stuff. And you see here all these little orange dots, right? And these are all the vertices that make up your drawing. So the way to see the dots, sometimes you can't see the little vertices, little dots, is you change the mode that you're in. So this is point mode. The second one is stroke mode. So you don't see the points, you just see the strokes. You see these like white lines. And then this is select all strokes between other strokes. Interesting. So this will be the strokes within a stroke. I actually never use this mode. So we're just gonna keep on going. So to switch to this mode, instead of going all the way up here, right, and like clicking this tiny little button here, you can just use the 1 and 2 keys. Oh shoot, look at that. So usually you can use the 1 and 2 keys, right above your Q and W to switch modes. But if you're on a laptop and you're using emulate numpad, those are taken up by your camera controls. So this will be maybe an option. Um, if you will have to take off this option for it to work. So let's go back to preferences, emulate numpad, and now we got our shortcuts back, right? So the 1 and the 2 switches the mode here, and you see that it switches. And this is very handy, so you don't have to move your mouse all the way to the top left and have to click on it, right? So here we are. We're in edit mode, we're in the point mode, and we're able to select any of these individual points, and we're able to grab it, and you can see that I can edit the stroke on the fly, right? It doesn't look very pretty right now, obviously, but you can see that you could just do some after the fact editing onto your drawings, and that's all fine and dandy. But like, how can we make this useful? So let's say we wanted to move the eyes a little closer. So we can select the eyes, and look, when I select the eyes, I'm only selecting a point. So this is the point, the part where we don't want to edit like a stroke individually. We want to move the whole stroke, right? So we'll go to up here and select stroke mode or stroke points. Stroke mode, stroke points, or press 2 on the keyboard. And now we could just select all the strokes. So see, if I select the top, and you press G, and the way I like to remember that shortcut is G is for grab. So I'm grabbing this and then moving it. You see that I'm selecting the fill, and then if you zoom in really close, this is where it gets kind of tricky. You can see that there's a second line, and that's the stroke. This is where things get kind of weird, right? Like I can't really pick the stroke. So do I have to move this and then click on this and then move this? Anyway, so what I like to do is I like to select the stroke and hit G, grab, and then hope that I get it. And if I hold shift and I select select the next one, so I add it to the selection. Now I grab and I can move that eye, and now I have everything. So I am holding shift, clicking, hitting G, and select. So I'm moving the eyes. So here we go. And you can, in this mode, you can hit, there's 3 keys you should remember, which will be G, R, and S, right? So I select the eye and I want to move it. I will grab it, G, move it. We'll leave that pupil there. We'll make it smaller, so we'll hit S for size or scale, right? That's how I remember that. And we'll make it smaller. We'll make a little kooky there. Grab again, and then we can also rotate it, R, and rotate it around. And that's how you can move around your strokes and really just do some broad editing on your mode here. And that's how you, I guess, do some basic editing or selections for your strokes in your drawings. All right, I'm pausing here because I want to read the chat. Chat's going. I like to see what people are saying. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Suzanne, Uncle, I draw a circle with outline first, and I want to do another color, and then want to use that as a fill behind it. And I draw the fill, and how do I move it behind the stroke? This is the select mode. The third button selects a stroke until it crosses another one. Great for deleting overlap. Well, I'm going to reread this. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Okay, Suzanne, Uncle, I think I understand your question, and I'm going to answer it right now. Okay. So I think what you're asking is, and correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're saying that you go and you draw a circle, right? And you're like, all right, cool, cool. I uh I want to fill it up with the skin color, right? So you choose the material, you get the skin, and then you're trying to fill it in, right? You're going in and you're trying to fill it in here, right? Let me use the material. Doesn't matter. So you're filling it in, and then you realize that when you fill it in, it goes over your stroke, right? So there's two ways that you can address this issue, right? You can first there's an option here at the top left of your brush tool, and it's a little square, and it's called draw strokes on back. And what that does is that every stroke that you make, right, will set it behind the stroke that it's over, right? So if I set that on, so it's like blue, and now I draw on it, I'll overlap it just so you can see. It draws it behind, right? And then this is how you can maybe fill in your your strokes, and you can fill it behind. Or you could use the fill tool on the left here, and you can click fill. And you see how it fills everything? That's because there's a little gap here, right? So Control Z. So with the fill tool, something interesting that you can do is you can hold Control, and then you can draw a line that kind of closes off that wall there, and then you hit fill, and then you fill it up like that. So that's two different ways. So using the material, using this option to draw behind, and it draws behind. Using the fill tool, um, covering up any gaps that you have by holding Control with the fill tool, making a line, covering it, and then clicking to make fill it up. And then a final way that you can do it, right? This is a third way, but this is a bit more, I guess, technical, would be if you draw the fill, right? You go into edit mode, and then you click on the fill, right? This is more steps. The other two ways are better. You right click it, and you go move layer, oh no, arrange strokes, and you hit send to back. And then now you have the fill behind your stroke. I hope that answers your question, Suzanne. Yes, that's what I needed to know. Thank you. That draw behind. Great. I'm glad I was able to answer your question. With this software, there's always like three ways to do something. Three or four ways to do something. So it depends on what you're doing, where you're at. But yes, the little button up there will help you out a lot. I'll probably need to make a little video for the fill tool as well. All right. I'm glad it helps. All right. Where was I? Boom, boom. Okay. Oh man. All right, all right, all right. All right. So what was I doing? Thank you for asking the question. I really appreciate it, and I actually really love when you guys ask questions, and because it helps me figure. I know a bit of stuff, a little bit of stuff, and I really like to know what is useful. Sometimes I know things that may be very useful, and I'm like, oh, everybody knows that. So please ask away in the chat. Thank you, Susan, for asking. All right, so selecting the stroke, transforming the stroke. All right, the thickness tool. Okay, so I may have to re-record those. We'll see. Let's go to thickness tool. All right. And we're recording. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right, now that you learned how to move the stroke by selecting it, holding shift to select multiples, hitting G, R, or S to, manipulate your strokes, you'll notice that this stroke here, right, when I make it bigger, my stroke uh gets kind of thick, right? So like I made the eye a little smaller, and you can see the stroke is, I guess, is the same thickness as this, keeping the same thickness. But let's say you wanted this stroke to be a little thinner. A tool that I often use in edit mode would be the thickness tool. So let's go into the edit mode. We're on top left, it says edit. We select our stroke, which is right here. And let's say we wanted it to be thinner, right? So this tool over here is called radius. It's not the thickness tool. It's called radius. My bad. So the radius tool on the left side here, you can click on it. And once again, you can do the same shortcut I talked about earlier, where you can hit shift space, right? And then select radius. Oh, and you can see that it has its own shortcut key, Alt S. So let's do that instead. Alt S, and that changes the thickness. That's great. So if you select a stroke, let's say you wanted Suzanne's eyebrows to be a little smaller, her eyebrows to be smaller, you will hit Alt S, make it thinner, or you could select on the radius tool here, make it bigger, or you can hit Shift Space, select the radius tool, make it smaller. And this is how you can kind of like really, I guess, art direct your thickness after the fact, after you draw it, and really just clean up your work. Okay, so there's our thickness. Boom, boom, boom. Doing good. Let's see what happens when we go to point mode. Now we're just winging it. Ah, see? So if you go to point mode or press 1 on right above the Q on your keyboard, you can actually also change the thickness of individual points. And that may be cool for like certain types of effects. So like, let's see if this looks good. If we just select every other point, and there's an easier way to do this that I will show you later. And let's say we wanted to make every other one the thickness smaller. So if we make it smaller, ooh, we can make a nice little diamond shape, which I guess would be cool if you're doing some sort of design that needs diamonds on it. You see, and I can control the strokes from different parts. If you select the stroke itself, obviously, that works. Something to note about the stroke is that it won't work on fill objects. So if I select this fill, is this the fill? Nope. Right, the fill, and I hit the radius tool, see, it doesn't really do anything because it only works on the stroke tool. um and I mean, that's like the basic stuff that you should know about edit mode. Just that you can go into edit mode, you have two modes, point and stroke. You can select them by clicking on them. You can hold shift to select multiples. You can hit uh, G to move or grab, R to rotate, and S to scale. And you can really just art direct your strokes after the fact, and also use Alt S for the radius tool to direct your thickness or your radius of your lines. Hopefully that gets some things popping and sizzling up in there for ideas for when you're using Blender. All right, we are not recording now, and if you guys have any questions, please ask right now while I sip some coffee and figure out what I'm gonna record next as I'm stumbling through. Oh, I guess I didn't talk about, I talked about editing. I didn't talk about erasing. I didn't talk about connecting. And then the right click tools. Actually, there's quite a bit of editing in edit mode that I have to do. So let's go through that. This, hopefully this tutorial is not all janky. All right, so let's remake Susan. Oops. That's a scary monkey. Okay. Let's get Susan. Let me just zoom up on Susan there. go to draw mode. Okay, so the things I have to go over are going to be erasing, editing, erasing, connecting, and the right click tools. All right, so let's do that, right? Let's do that. Okay, here we go. Any questions in the chat? How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? Feeling good? Weather's nice over here. Nice and cool for me. Well, you know, cool for a Californian at least. Life is good. Life is moving. Life is flowing. I love it. I love it. I think I got about 1 hour left before I end the stream. 1 hour, hour and a half. We'll see how far we get. Now seeing that it's only an hour left, I don't think we'll get through the whole list. So yeah, this will be multiple streams. And I'll probably keep going. You know, I'll probably make another list and see if I can do some other videos on it and stuff. And we can start covering some more stuff. Okay. Nothing in the chat. All right, let's keep going. And we will do this not with Suzanne. Ferdwin, it's a few degrees above freezing here in Ottawa, Canada. Dang. Dang. I don't know if I can just go there and handle that, huh? Otherwise, nice and sunny. Running the smoker again. Ah, the smoker. What are you cooking today? What are you cooking today, Ferdwin? I want to get me a smoker. All right, here we go. Here we go. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it now. Pork loins. Getting hungry. I wish we could like share pictures in the chat. I would love to see pictures of like food and stuff on the stream as I'm doing my tutorials. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, something I forgot in the edit mode is some of the tools you can use in edit mode and some of the options that you can do more than just move, scale, and rotate. So let's draw some arbitrary circles. Let's draw some arbitrary squares. You know, let's just draw some basic shapes. I'm not even trying, guys. This is just we're just making shapes for this example. Okay. So let's go to edit mode. And let me show you some different things we can do. So let's say I made this stroke or this stroke, and I wanted this to be connected, right? So something that you can do, if I remember correctly, let's see, is if you go to edit mode and hit F, it'll connect your line, right? And it's like really tiny here. So F connects your points. I'm going to go to point mode by pressing 1. You'll see that if you hit F, if you select the stroke, right, this one right here, hit F, it'll connect it together. You see that it's like really thin, so you would use your radius tool or Alt S. Go to stroke, you make it thicker, or you could just select these, right, and make them thicker. So see, you have all these points, right? And you're like, oh man, I don't want to like pick all these. I want to pick all these. This is like too much. So something you can do is you can hit C, which will give you a select brush tool, right? So you see this little radius on it, and I can scroll to make it bigger. And this is basically a brush for selection, right? So you hit C, and you can just paint these. Boom, selected those, and then to get out of this mode, you right click. So now I'm out of it. Now I go to this radius tool, or hit Alt S, and we'll make it bigger. We'll keep scrolling. You can see that I made it thicker. And that was with the magic of this C brush tool. Well, brush select tool. Um, another way that you can have different selections, right? If you go to the select tool up here and you hit click and hold, you can see that you can have tweak, select box, select circle, and select lasso. Select circle is what I'm doing when I press the C button, is select circle. You can also do lasso, right? Lasso's pretty good too. So um you basically just draw your selection, and that makes it pretty easy as well. Boom, selected, Alt S, make it thicker, and it's thicker, and you did it, right? So that's great. And usually use that connection tool if you're going to connect a circle. That usually that's how I use it. So I like make a whole circle or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I want these to connect. You hit F, it connects them together, and then I select these and I make them a bit thicker with the Alt S. Oh, after I right click, Alt S, make it thicker. It looks kind of ugly, honestly, but I'm going to show you how to fix that later. But just know that you can do that and you can select the tools, right? Another thing that you can do is you can right click. Right clicking is an excellent button, right? So let's say you want this circle and you like it, right? But you need it to be smoother looking because your hand was just terrible at drawing a perfect circle. Who would have thought, right? So if you in edit mode select the stroke that you want. So I selected this one. I right click it. You have all these options that you can do onto these points, and they're very great options. So let's just go through a few of them now, just so you can see what they do, right? So we can do, let's see, smooth points. What smooth points does is it makes the the bumpiness of your stroke a little smoother. You see that I clicked it, it barely did anything. Let me do it again, right? So you see that I right click it and hit boom, smooth points. It just did it a little bit. It does it a little bit at a time. To do it multiple times, you can either click down here on this menu that appears, and you can hit repeat it a bunch of times. You can only repeat it, I guess, 20 times. Can I type it in? So 50 times is the highest I can put in here, I guess. Which is kind of silly, right? So yeah, so you can right click smooth. So let's see the comparison. So we'll duplicate this circle. We will select both of these circles, right? And we're gonna see them both. So if you go into point mode, here's our normal circle, and we'll right click and hit smooth points. And then here's another way. Instead of doing repeat here, what you could do is you could do Shift R. And what that does is it repeats the last action you did, right? So if you're doing something repetitively and you don't want to keep hitting right click and then clicking the thing, or if you don't have it as a shortcut, you do the thing and you hit Shift R, right? So when you hit Shift R, you see that my points are getting smoother and smoother. You can barely tell, but I'm just, look at this. R 100 times. It's just getting smaller and smaller, smoother and smoother. And we zoom back out, and you see that my circle now looks almost like a perfect stroke. And this is how you can fix a lot of your strokes, right? By just using the smooth tool like that. So we'll do it for this triangle. Look how like jaggedy this triangle is. We will duplicate it, right? Select the triangle, Shift R, smooth stroke. And it says smooth stroke now, so smooth point, because we're in the stroke mode here. So it does change upon that. So hit smooth stroke, and then we'll hit Shift R, and it'll smooth that. And it smooths it so much, it becomes a droplet. But you can see how your stroke becomes a lot smoother. So that's an excellent tool to use. So Shift R to repeat, and right click, and smooth stroke. So that's one tool that's pretty cool. Let's see about some other ones. We could, let's go to point mode. We get more options in there. We got to sphere, which is Shift Alt S, and I guess it makes the points into a circle. So let's see what that looks like. So right click to sphere. Oh, nice. So when I click on it, I get this little arrow left and right, and I move my mouse to the right, and boom, it made a perfect circle. I made a perfect circle out of my really bad jagged circle. So let's see what happens when we do it on something that's not a circle. Let's do it on the bottom of this cylinder here, this ugly can cylinder. So right click, We'll go to point mode, right click, to sphere, Shift Alt S, and we'll move it to the right. Oh man, and it made my perfect cylinder, or my cylinder, into a sphere. So this is really good if you want to like really like round some things out. So if you wanted this triangle to be, you know, more spherical, you can like give it a little bulge, and you know that's a pretty useful tool. Get some perfect circles out there, very useful. Let's see. All right, so let's say you wanted to select all these points, but you didn't want to select each and every one. I already showed you the C method, but you can also just go to stroke mode, select the stroke, and then go back to point mode, and it'll have all this selected. Another way you can use, another shortcut you can use to select points, right? Or strokes, but still be in point mode, is pressing the L key, right? The L key is select similar, I believe. So if I'm in point mode, you see if I select this and select that, it kind of like, you know, I'm just selecting points of each other. But if I go over and I hover over the point and I hit L, I select the one first and then I hit L, it'll select similar, or select connected, I think, actually. Hold shift, select this one, press L, it'll add it. And you see that I am now adding strokes, but staying in point mode. I'm not exactly sure the scenario you need it. I know I've done it before. I just can't tell you exactly the scenario I needed it in. Another thing you can use, another feature you can use for an edit mode that can help you with editing your strokes is, let's select this box here. And I did it just by pressing L like I did before while staying in point mode. We'll right click. Let's see, we could merge points, split, separate. Okay, so see, what I'm looking for is not in this menu, and could be a little confusing. So where this is, and you guys tell me with the shortcut key if it exists, but I want to see how all these points are all like, you know, non-uniform. Sometimes you may want to clean this up and make it a little bit more uniform, easier to work with. You have options not only in the right click menu, but you also have options in the point menu here at the top. And this menu changes depending on the mode you're in. So if you're in stroke mode, oh, never mind. It still says stroke. I mean, still says point. Oh no, stroke and point are next to each other. So if you go to select your stroke, I'll select all, go to point mode, you can smooth your points here, but I already showed you how to do that better. Stroke is what I want you guys to choose. So we can be in stroke mode or in point mode. It's the stroke buttons here. Click stroke, and you can simplify your stroke. And this is mainly for cleanup and like maybe to optimize your scene, but maybe you have like a crap ton of points and you really don't need all those points. You can use simplify, and what that does is that it tries to eliminate points that aren't really necessary within your stroke. So as you saw, the points went away. I'll bring it back. See, it's getting rid of these points and making it I don't know, cleaner. So not something you have to worry about a lot, but I just want you to know that it exists here. You know what I mean? Like it exists here. You can do adaptive. You'll see the mode down here, and this took away all the points and just left my 4 main points. So my ugly janky box turned into this. So between using smooth points and the simplify tool, you can really have a lot of control over your strokes. And one last thing I wanted to cover is the trim tool. And the trim tool is interesting. It took me a little bit to figure out what it did. But if you, let's say you draw a circle, right? And you draw it like this. And you want to trim this end and this end, right? Because you want it to be a circle. So you'll select the stroke. Let's go to stroke mode, pressing 2. You select the stroke, go to stroke, and hit trim. And it'll actually trim off the loose edges. So it basically trims off the intersections. Whatever's after the intersection of the stroke, it erases. I'll show it a couple more times just so you guys can see. So if we had a square where we did this, or if we had a circle where we did this, or a triangle where we did this, you know, all these little edges at the end, you know, you don't want those. So edit mode, select, stroke, trim, stroke, trim, stroke, trim. And look, it trimmed all my strokes. And now I want them to be cleaner. So I click on them, right, or select them, right click, smooth stroke, do it 100 times. Now I got this nice little, I don't know, swoopy thing. Same thing with this. You know, you guys get the picture. Smooth, do it 100 times, triangle. And you can really start, uh, you know, doing like some fine tuning on your strokes, especially if you don't want to keep drawing the same line over and over again. And I think those are the most important things. There's obviously a lot more that, you know, you can go into, but honestly, I think those are the main things that you should know. Smooth points, simplify, trim. If something needs more points, you can click on it, right? And you can subdivide. It works the same way in 3D, and it'll add point in between every point. But if you add, if you put number of cuts, it'll cut a point at every middle point of the line. So subdivide, and you'll see that I'm adding a crap ton of points in here. And you may want to add these points for what I'm going to talk about next, which I believe is sculpting. So that's edit mode, that's selection mode. It was a quick crash course. There's much more to know about this edit mode, but that's the gist of some options that you have in your edits. Man, that was a long one, guys. I talked for a long time. I hope this video is not like 15 hours long. All right, time for the chat. All right, I hope you... Gotta go back. For anyone this time with more maple, awesome. Okay, Burn, will you talk about 2D animation? Burn, right now I'm just doing the basics of using the grease pencil. I get a lot of comments on just learning how to use the Blender grease pencil feature and options, and I just want to demystify and make it less scary with all these buttons on screen. For that, for when it comes to animation, that's probably going to be in a couple more streams from now, like maybe or 2 or 3 from now, before I start getting into animation. Burned. That's how you say your name, right? Burned. I'm gonna animate some Castler making. Nice. Castler meat animations, great. My weekends consist of smoking meats and hanging out with Grease Monkeys live stream. Oh, Ferdwin, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. I wish I could partake in the smoking of meats. Yummy, I'm just standing outside. Knock knock. Ferdwin, I hope you brought beer. I don't know how to say that. Laprague. Is that a type of beer? I'm very not good with my beers, guys. Ferdwin, you look like your scotch. Oh, you like your scotch. It's a scotch. It's not a beer. I should keep reading before I talk out loud. Very acceptable alternative. Burned. Indeed. All right. Trigv, what version of Blender is this? Version 2.90.1. Usually at the bottom here, the bottom right. Learning a lot from this. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm glad that you are, because this is for you. This is for that some basic grease pencil knowledge. Okay. For anybody new in the chat, I'm live streaming making this tutorial. This tutorial will be available later on in the week. It'll be linked below. It'll basically be just a cut down of all this without any of this interaction and stuff like that. To just have a basic tutorial out there. It's very slapdash, but I gotta make something. I gotta make it for you. You guys don't care. You guys just want to learn, so that's great. Something I learned, guys, yesterday, and this won't be in the video. Something I learned is that if you right click at the bottom here, you can select what you can get. Like you could put scene statistics, and you can have everything on the bottom right here. You can right click, take away the system memory. Like when I first started Blender, it didn't have any of this. I was like, where's my stuff? Where's that? I need to know what version I'm on. So there's the Blender version I usually have. I like to know the video memory. I have 11 gigs with my 2080 Ti. My system memory, this is how much this file size is, 42 megs. and the scene statistics. I usually don't care about scene statistics, so I take that off. So all this information is on the bottom right, and you can customize it by right clicking and taking this off. This will probably be more useful later on for I don't know, for when you really care about how big how big your file size is, or if it's crashing, seeing that maybe your video memory's out. Also reminding yourself what version you're on. Maybe you don't need that. Okay, cool. So let's see what's on the list, guys. Let's see where we're going. So editing, erasing, and connecting in edit mode. Beautiful. We talked about the right-click menu, right-click tools. I feel like I could have talked about more tools in there, but I think you guys should explore. Very importante. Okay. So sculpt mode. I think I'm going to be brief on sculpt mode, but I will go over that. Let me mentally prepare for that real quick. So I like to use sculpt mode quite a bit. There we go. Go through the tools. Smooth, thickness, strength, grab, randomize, push. I never use this twist. Pinch, never use it. Oh, sometimes use it. Clone. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, guys. Any more questions in the chat? I'm going to be recording the sculpting portion now. It's going to be, I think it's going to be brief. It's pretty like straightforward, and I use it quite a bit, so. Man. Any more questions? I guess we're good. Once again, thank you guys for joining me on this stream. I really appreciate you guys and everything you guys do. And I'm glad you guys are learning. And if you have any questions, ask away. And I'm here to teach, and I'm here to show you that the things that look hard, maybe they aren't as hard as they are. And maybe they are. But you know, hopefully I can demystify this for a lot of people who are interested in grease pencil but aren't really interested in like learning all the nitty-gritty of 3D stuff. So I'm just giving you a basic crash course here. All right, we will be starting soon. Gotta mentally prepare for this. All right. Should I use Susanna as an example for this one? Let's find out if it will even be worth it. Burned. You should mention the stroke processing in another video. Are you talking about when you like add in a different you add in a video and it makes the grease pencil object for you? Is that like what you're talking about when you say stroke processing? I mean, that may be what it's called, and I just don't remember um what it's called. But yeah, let me know if that's what you're talking about. Exactly what you mean. All right, we're not gonna use Suzanne. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make a point a little better. Let me set up for draw. You should mention video burned, like the freestyle in LAN PR, the menu, post processing, stabilization, etc. top. Oh, yeah. This stuff, right? This, oh, okay, post-processing. That's, yeah, obviously. You said, it's funny, the word post and then processing is on two different lines on my chat. So I kept missing the word post. I kept seeing processing. Yeah, yeah, post-processing. You are 100% right. So let's, so I'm going to be talking about sculpting. Okay. So let's take a detour. Thank you, Bern, for mentioning that. I'm going to take a detour and we're going to do that because that should be relatively easy to explain before we go into sculpting. So let's let's do that. Okay. All right, so we're gonna record. I'm not gonna get too into detail of this, but in another video, I'll probably go through all the settings and like really show you the advantages. But I think it's necessary to mention in like a basic video. So we'll do that now. Thank you, Bern, for the recommendation. I appreciate it. This is why I'm doing it. I'm doing it live. So yeah, like this is something I would have forgot in the video at the end. Like promise. Like would have forgot. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining. Here we go. All right, so besides your brush and material, there's another thing I forgot to mention. Nope, that's not where we're gonna start. I'm gonna say I forgot to mention. It's not gonna cut together good. We're gonna do it again. All right, another option to look at and to experiment with is going to be stroke post processing, and we're just gonna do it very brief. I just want you to see that it's there and see that you can mess around with it. I'm probably gonna make a different video that goes further in depth with that stabilization and all that stuff to show you like how to really take advantage of it properly. So basically, once you're drawing away, there's different when you do a stroke, there's some post processing that happens on your stroke to make it smoother, and it's like Blender basically trying to help you out for your stroke to be cleaner and smoother. But you have some options and some control over this, right? So if you go to the menu at the top and you go to it's both an advanced, the two I want you to pay attention to is advanced and stroke, right? So let's do stroke first. So with stroke, if you have it off, how bad are my lines? It seems to be fine. But you can have some post processing after your stroke to make it smoother. So let's crank this up to a bunch just to see how extreme it can get. So all right, so you see, I have it my options on extreme, right? So post processing, it's smoothing it out to 2, which is the max it can do, and then iterations 3. So it processes it 3 times to make this the smoothing factor, right? And you see when I draw my circle, see how right now it's a little wobbly, but if I let go, it kind of smooths it out. It's very hard to tell. Let's see if I can do it again. You see how it kind of shrinks? That's the post-processing happening, right? And that happens after every time after you do a stroke. You can really notice it here because I have it up to an extreme, but usually this is put down. I even forgot what it was at. Was it at 1? It was 0.1. It's usually down a little bit lower and it smooths it out very little. I can definitely see it here. Let's see. Yeah, you can barely see it. Hopefully you can catch it. Let's see, maybe if I make it bigger. You see how even at point one, I make it large. I make the circle. See the little jaggies on the beginning of the stroke is they're gonna move. They're gonna jump around. See, and it tries to smooth out those little artifacts so they don't look as jagged. And you can control that by using the smooth tool. Most of the time, I just leave it at point one. I don't really mess around with it too much. And then another thing you can do is to stabilize your stroke. I usually don't like to stabilize my stroke because I use edit mode to really tweak my strokes and stuff. I find it to have more control, but you can definitely go to stroke and go to stabilization, right? So in stabilization, you have two options. It basically is radius, which is how far your mouse has to move before it starts to stabilize or to move your stroke. And your factor, I see it as like a percentage, like 1 being at 100%, 0.9 being 90%. It's how much it's doing it, right? So let's do it at, just so you can see it, 40 pixels. You can see that I'm clicking, I'm moving my mouse, and see that little line there, right? It's a little red line. My point hasn't moved, and it's like I have a string and I'm pulling my stroke along. And what that does is it helps me make a smoother stroke. And I think it's very useful. You know, if you're like inking or like trying to do an outline, you can also control the pressure. It makes it easier for me to control pressure. So if I have a big point here, right? And I'm dragging this line along, and then I put the pressure out and I smooth it out. You can really get a nice at least if you have a steadier hand than me, you can have a smoother stroke here, right? So then the stabilization is pretty good. And let me show you some extreme examples. Oops, sorry. Some extreme examples. So we'll put the radius at like 200. So see how long that red line is? I'm like really dragging that along, right? And this is how you can make some smooth strokes. What I find hard about the stabilization, I'll put it back to 40, is that I don't know, I just find I draw kind of small. So I don't know, I find it when I'm using it, it doesn't, I end up trying to make the perfect line the first time instead of just going with the flow and just drawing. And then and that's why I just use the editing at the end. But yeah, you can definitely make some smooth strokes here with the stabilization. And let's see what the factor at a lower rate. So we'll do it 200 radius, factor 0.5, so like 50%. Oh, it's a lot more jagged. So I assume that there's just less points just being made. So this is a good example. I'm glad we went through this. So if we had it at, you know, the difference between, oh yeah. So factor really is showing how, like, what's the word? How jagged your lines are. So at a big factor, and it's also a lot smoother. Like look how slow this is. Like super slow. And then if we put it at a higher, at a 0.5, it's a little bit more jagged. You can't tell right now because the stroke is so at 40, but if you see it at 200, you'll see how jagged it can be, right? So if you tweak with these settings, I'm sure you can find something that works for you for the stabilization. In this stroke also, there is a randomize feature, and I'll probably make a different video on this that can randomize the color and like the wobbliness of your lines. We were into smoothing. I didn't want to get too deep into this, but definitely check out the stroke, stabilized stroke, your post processing. And for active smooth, honestly, for a basic tutorial, I would just leave it as it is, you know? But if you want to mess with it, definitely mess with it. Hopefully that covers that. Thank you, Burned, for recommending that. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to stroke now. We are not recording. If you have any answers, I'll go through the chat. Smoothing and its iterations and stabilizations. Hopefully Burned. I'll probably go deeper into that stabilization later. I actually have to do some more research on myself so I can use the correct terms when I'm like explaining this stuff. All right. So next thing on the list was sculpting. Let's bring everything back. Stabilization off. We'll do iterations one. Oops. Smoothing, blah, blah, blah. We will, let me just set up for this sculpting here. Just doing some little basic, ugly drawings. Little man person, doesn't matter. And I just want to just demonstrate this. Whatever, doesn't matter. All right, here we go. No problem, Baron. Thank you for recommending it. You know, I also don't want this at all to be too overwhelming for anybody. All right. On to the next topic, sculpting. I'm also gonna, there we go. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. We're gonna be recording. On to the next one. All right. I hope everybody's doing all right out there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. I think I'm going to spend about 30 more minutes. Why am I saying this on a recording? But yes, I'll probably spend some 30 more minutes here. All right. All right. Get into tutorial mode. Get into that voice. Tutorial making. One shot, two shots at most. Turned on. Go with the flow. Here we go. Boom. All right. All right, and the next thing we're going to be going over here is the sculpt tool, which is another tool that you can use, kind of like the edit mode or sculpt mode. That's kind of like the edit mode that'll help you polish and edit your strokes after the fact, and you don't have to draw your lines and things like that. This is kind of like the workflow of Blender, in my opinion, to utilize all its rich features is not to draw a line perfectly once, but like draw a line good enough and then edit it afterwards, make it better. That's how I like to work. Because I have I'm not the greatest artist or the greatest 2D artist, and I need some computer help sometimes. And we all need some computer help sometimes. No shame in that, guys. So to get into sculpt mode, it will basically be able to move around these points like if we're like playing with putty or like playing with clay or something like along the lines of that, right? So a shortcut key that I like to use a lot to switch into different modes is Control Tab, right? So Control Tab is a pie menu that appears if you hold it. So Control Tab, right? And then when you Control Tab, here's the pie menu, and now I can choose the mode that I want to go into. So there's Object, Sculpt, Edit, Weight Paint, Draw, and Vertex Paint. So if I was just in Draw mode and I hit Tab, it's only going to go between Edit and Draw, right? But if I wanted to go into this other mode, the Sculpt mode, you would do Control Tab. You hold it. I'm holding it right now. And I will go to Sculpt mode. Boom, we are on sculpt mode. If you guys were paying attention before, the shortcut keys kind of carry over from before, from the brush tool and the eraser tool. So we'll just do F, right? And we'll make it bigger and smaller. And then for the strength, which is more like, I like to see it as influence or something, but strength, Shift F to change the strength, and you move the mouse around to select where. Those are some pretty good shortcut keys. And then we can start using these tools. So let's go through them one by one, just one by one. Let's just do it, right? So the smooth tool. So let me make an example with a stroke instead of a fill. So let's do this and make some lines here. So let's go to the smooth tool. So tab, control tab, sculpt mode, and we'll put the influence at 100 and we'll start smoothing this. So what this is doing is that you can selectively choose what to smooth, right? So actually a better example would be if I used a circle. There we go. A janky circle. So we'll go back to sculpt. So the first one's smooth tool. So if you just wanted to smooth this end here, you see how I could just, it's basically like when you right click in edit mode and hit smooth stroke, but you're picking and choosing where you want that smooth. So you see a lot smoother. And you can actually go overboard with this and basically take out, smooth it so much, we'll make it into a perfect line. And now I made that jagged edge into a perfect line. And this would help, right, in see how kind of like, I don't know, jagged and wiggly my lines are because of I use no stabilization. You can use the stroke or this smooth tool and you can smooth this out, and you can smooth out your drawing or your stroke, and you can see that it works pretty quickly. I have the strength up to 100 and I'm using it a lot. I just need you guys to see that that's what you can do. So that smooths out your lines. And this is a perfect example here of smoothing out a really wrinkly line down to a a much smoother line. All right, next tool. Let's keep going. Thickness. So this one should be pretty self-explanatory. If you go through and you wanted to selectively choose what part should be thick, or and you can really have control over your strokes for this. So if you just want the ends to be bigger, you use this sculpt tool to really edit your strokes. I feel like I'm like repeating myself. It's pretty straightforward, guys. And you can control your thickness here and have a lot of control over it. If you have a tablet, it's amazing. And then you could do the opposite, right? By holding control, and it'll make it thinner. You can also choose what the default, not the default, but choose what it is currently without holding control by going up to here to the plus and minus. And this will make it smaller, and this will make it bigger. See? Very cool. It doesn't really do anything on the fill. Does nothing on this fill shape here. So that's a good way to control your strokes. Next one, strength. This should be like the opacity, I believe. So let's put it on negative because everything's at 100% opacity. And we'll put the strength at 100 just so you can see it. And it, oh, I'm on the thickness. Jeez. There it is. So I feel like this is like the eraser tool, right? Except it's not going to erase your points. This is where it'll keep it visible here, right? So if you go into edit mode now, you'll see that, edit mode. You see that your stroke is still here, except I put the strength down so low, right? Because I'm in the minus here, that it's invisible. And maybe you can use this to do like some nice, cool blending techniques and fading. I'm not good at blending. So definitely if you use this tool a lot, please let me know. I'd love to see your artwork using this type of like strength tool. So that's pretty neat. All right. Let's keep on going. Back to sculpt mode. Okay. The next tool, randomize. This might be fun just for like an effect, which could be fun to add some texture to some things here. So it does what it says. It randomizes your stroke. And let me see how it randomizes it. Great. So if you go into your randomize tool, and this applies to any tool I've talked to you about before, if you want to go more into settings for this, you click on the tool and you press the N key, which is your N panel, N menu. I think that's what it's officially called. And you'll see that it is, you'll see here on your tool all your options for this. So right now, this randomize is affecting the position, right? So here's the position. That's why it's moving around. looking all jagged. But if we took that off and made strength, now if we do it, now it's just changing the strength randomly throughout all those points that are there. You could do it for thickness as well, randomize that thickness. Oh, I have it on both now. It's thickness, and you can kind of make this like waveform function. That's what it kind of looks like and stuff. And you can definitely affect, so you can affect position, strength, and thickness if you want to add some texture. It's very extreme now. Obviously you're like, what would I need that for? But I assume that you would use this at a very low strength and put the thickness in there and just, you know, kind of add some flair in there, maybe some positioning here, and kind of make it a little, I don't know, give it some texture. All right, let's keep on going. Another one, the one I use the most, I think it's this one. I think it's grab and push. So these next two I use the most, right? So when I want to shape something out, I want to make the shape correctly, and I can't do it on one single stroke. So I'll use this tool and hit F, make it bigger, and I'm going to shape out this head. So if I wanted him to have like a horn, maybe some hair, and what's unfortunate right now, right, is that I'm grabbing even the eye, right? And there's ways around this, and I'll get to that after this. So basically you just use the grab tool, and what it's doing is that it's grabbing these points and just moving them, and you can grab them up and move them, and then you can smooth them out. Maybe you want a warbly head like that. Obviously this is not good looking. Let's make it a little bit nicer. So I'm going to put the strength down to like 0.5, right, or less. Put it bigger, and then you can start really shaping out the head, and you can see how I can really start shaping out my shapes after the fact, after I drew them already. Because sometimes you don't want to redraw the whole thing. Maybe you just need a little variation here and there, and you can move that, right? The push, let me just read these out loud. Grab is just as grab. No, let's see. Apply tweaks to stroke by painting over the stroke. That doesn't make any sense because we're not painting anything, right? Am I right? Am I wrong on this, guys? And then push, it says applies tweaks to strokes by painting over the strokes. Oh, when they say by painting, they mean like using the brush over it. Okay. And they both say the same thing. So I'm not entirely sure what push and grab do. I think push is just lighter than grab. And grab is like, I guess, more extreme. Maybe that's what it is. Like that. And then if I did the same thing with push. Yeah, it looks like push feels smoother. Like there's some sort of smoothing going on, while grab is grabbing those points, just really grabbing it out. You could do something similar in edit mode with proportional editing. And that's something that I probably should have added before. Thank you, Burn, for mentioning that. I mentioned it because you mentioned it there. All right, so basically you use this to shape out your shapes. Push out your shapes. If you can get a better description on what the difference between grab and pull is, and I know there is a difference, I just want to know the exact verbiage to use to explain to somebody how they're different. All right, and these last ones I don't really use too often. Twist, this twists your stroke, so let's see what that looks like. I mean, it's not often that I use this tool, but maybe you want to use it, maybe you need it. The pinch tool, bring points together, which I guess is useful. I haven't found a use case for that. And this clone tool, I usually, to clone things, go to edit mode and clone them that way. But that's just me. I'm still learning, guys. I'm right there with you. This is just as far as I know. Okay. Didn't mean to make a fart noise with my mouth. Editing that out. All right, that's the sculpt tool. No, wait, let me start that again. So once again, Some pretty useful tools in the sculpt tool. We have smooth, thickness, strength, randomize, push and or grab and push are the ones that I use the most. So between drawing your strokes in draw mode, using edit mode to edit them and move them around, and then sculpt mode, you really have a lot of tools to help you make art and illustrations without being like a top tier, perfectly steady hand artist. So definitely check out all these modes. Yeah, burn. So stop recording. Okay, burn. You forgot the very important proportional editing and edit mode. In conjunction with sculpt mode. Yeah, I mentioned it while I was recording, and 100%. I definitely forgot that. You know, there's just so much to Blender. I just feel like I can't put it all in one video. I wanted this video to be like a little, not like an hour long. Not like I don't think it needs to be an hour long, but like I don't know, like 30 minutes maybe. So I'll see if I can figure out a way to, well, in the edit, add in the proportional editing for the edit mode and stuff. Maybe. Anyway, I'm not recording. If you guys have any questions, please ask now while I sip my coffee and set up for the next recording. I got about 15 minutes until I stop doing this or I end the stream, guys. About 15 minutes. But thank you guys once again for joining me. Thank you guys for watching this live stream. I appreciate it. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself. If you're watching this in the future, I will have the link to the final video chopped up without all this in-between talk into a tutorial on my page. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them. If you guys, I'm gonna probably record tutorials like this all the time where I do it live, because I think it helps me when you guys ask questions. It really helps me to um figure out what to put in and what to put out. All right, 1 second, just messaging a friend back. All right, let's see what we got. Chat here. Suzanne, Uncle, did you show how not to edit eyes uh when the rest in sculpt? Ooh, see? Good catch. Good catch, Susan. I'm gonna add that in right now. Um so So if anybody's in the chat right now so I'm going to be showing how to sculpt, right? But not edit certain elements. If you guys know of a better way to do it than the way that I'm about to show, please let me know. I will stop the recording and test it out and see if it works better, and I'll do it that way. But I'm going to show some different methods. But I feel like there's a better method than how I'm doing it. So please let me know. All right, here we go. And thank you, Suzanne, for mentioning that. Burned, this is better done in edit mode. Yeah, you're probably right. Before I record, let me see what. So if I did like something like this, the proportional editing, grab. I see what you're saying. Yeah. And we put on connected, right? That's what we do. There we go. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. But I'm going to show you how to do it in sculpt mode as well. And then I'm going to definitely probably go back to do that proportional editing stuff right now. So you're both right, Suzanne. Suzanne, I'll show you how to do it in sculpt. But Burned, you're right. Doing it in edit mode is a little bit easier because you can use proportional editing and then do connected only and then select the strokes in advance and edit it that way. So I think that is much better. I wish there was a way in sculpt mode. Let me check. Hold on. Is there really nothing? Oh, hold on. Edit mode. Let's see if there's a weird way to do this. Go to edit mode. Go to sculpt mode. And then we sculpt and the eyes aren't affected. And I did that by going into edit mode. Is that what I did? Sculpt mode. Select. That's not. Let's do tweak. What's this number? W. We're going to learn together right now, guys. Okay, I think we can do it in sculpt mode. And I think I just figured out to do it. Here we go. All right, Suzanne Uncle, this one's for you. Suzanne. Suzanne Uncle. Okay. Shortcut is L. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, I think I figured out how to do it in sculpt mode. And I'm going to share right now. Here we go. All right, so let's say you're in sculpt mode and you have a lot of objects here, right? And you don't want to affect certain, elements of your drawing. So you have your eyes here, you have the head, and you want to just affect the eyes or just affect the head, right? So in sculpt mode, if you go to the selection tool, which is down here, and it's also hit shift space, you'd go to tweak mode, right? It's also W. I think it's W here. Yeah, W. So if you press W a bunch of times, you can see that your selection mode changes. This is lasso. If you hit it again, this is tweak with the little arrow. And if you hit an L, this is square. So you can select squares. And then circle, you do box, right? I usually like to go to tweak, right? Because that you select the object, right? So hit W. So you have the arrows, or hit shift space, hit tweak, select it. Boom, we're there, right? So I'm selecting the head only. And now if I go to grab, right, I can only affect the head. So if I do something like this, see how I'm not affecting the eyes at all? Or, if I wanted just to affect the eyes, I will go back to tweak mode. Here it is. I'll select the strokes, right? I can do grab here and only affect the eyes. And then that's how you can really form this. Let's just do this eye and we'll go back to grab and see I'm only affecting the eyes in sculpt mode. You can also do this in edit mode, But sculpt mode has like these tools that kind of help you out a little bit better. I guess they're made for it. So that's what I would use. So boom, edit, go to sculpt mode, select, go back to grab it around, do some stuff. Go to tweak, select the head, shift space, select grab. Now I'm only affecting the head. This is real ugly, guys, but hey, I'm just trying to show you how to use this and see how I'm not affecting anything else. But if you wanted to affect multiple things, like the whole body, you go shift space, tweak, oops, shift space, tweak, select the head, the neck, the eyes, and now you can affect just the head. Go to grab, and then that's how you only affect the things that you want to affect in sculpt mode. Very important, because you definitely want to pick and choose what you're sculpting. All right. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Susan, for asking that question. It was very good. That's how you do it. Burn said, seems like you have to choose the edit mode, what you want to sculpt in sculpt mode. Blender could do better, but I'm not sure. Okay, forget my last posting. Yeah, you know it's funny. I literally discovered it just now with you. I actually didn't know there was this. I didn't know there was this select function in the sculpt tool. So I thought it was the edit as well. Like you have to select an edit, then go to sculpt or whatever. But no, you could do it right there with this selection. It's just not at the top. I feel like this should be at the top and then these should be underneath, so then I can see that that was there. I was not, since I don't use these last four, I just totally wrote that one off. But you could do it with the selection. So I hope that helps you, Suzanne Uncle, or Suzanne. I should just call you Suzanne. Susan, with sculpting particular objects or lines and stuff like that. So there we go. I think we covered all the sculpting. I may have to record some new stuff, but that's fine. We're here together. Got 10 minutes. I think I could do about one more. This will probably be the last thing I go over before we get into like modifiers and stuff like that, which will be on the next stream. Thank you for helping me. It was way worth setting alarm to get up extra early to watch today. Yes, sure does. Oh, Suzanne, you woke up early to watch me? Now that's a compliment. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing it. Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate you for doing that. And at the end, like I said, we'll have a video that summarizes all this in a much shorter than 2 hours. Oh yeah, super early summer day for you, Susan. Oh, well, thank you. All right, so actually, I only have 10 minutes. Layers have onion skinning, locked inactive, blend modes, mask, stroke depth. Oh my God, use lights. Never mind. I think I might just end the stream here. I'm going to be doing another stream in a few days. Continuing this list here, going through everything. We already went through the sculpt tool, so let's go check mark that. And we'll keep going. We'll keep going here. Later. We'll keep going later. What am I saying? It's almost 2 p.m. I've been streaming for about a couple hours, I believe. Almost 3 hours, something like that. But I'm going, dang, Susan, 5:30 a.m. on a Sunday? You crazy. Thank you for getting up. All right, guys, so if for everybody in the chat, thank you guys for joining me on recording this tutorial. I'm going to be doing this again in a few days. I have to figure out which day it is, but I'll be setting up a reminder scheduled stream, and you'll see it there when it's going to happen. We're going to just continue going on with this list I made and we're going to be going through layer settings and modifiers, the VFX settings and the dope sheet, and resources and extra stuff even after that. Like, this stream's just gonna keep going. I'll be making a video at the end of this. If you're watching this video, this stream in the future, the finished video should be in the description below. If it's not there below, that means I haven't finished it, but it should be a summarized version of everything I went through in these 2 hours, with some graphics and some easy stuff to follow through. And we'll keep going. Like I said, I'll set a reminder. It might be in a couple days. But I plan to do a little bit more streaming. This has been a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying myself. I like doing these recordings with you guys so you guys can ask questions and, correct me even and tell me where things are at and learn, and I can learn with you guys. Because it's a lot of fun to learn together instead of learning alone. It can get really frustrating, and we can all share our knowledge. And I really appreciate you watching, and I appreciate, everything that you guys do. All right. Suzanne learned heaps, so happy. Ferdwin, I love this stream. Grease Monkey is fun to learn along with. Aw, thank you. I'm glad that. Thank you, Ferdwin. That's real nice of you to say. I appreciate you watching. All right, this is like 20 minutes of me thanking you guys. So look out for the scheduled stream. I will see you guys later. Thank you for joining. Let's see everybody who joined. I'll say all their names. We got Burned. We got Susan. We got Ferd. Marcellum. There was one other person in here, right? Spitfire was here. Barath. Barath? Please tell me how to say that name later in the future. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful night. If you guys have any suggestions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comments of this video. So then when my next stream comes, I can address those or get reminded of those things. If anything pops up, just leave those comments. Send me a message on my discussion page on YouTube. Go on my Instagram. Do my stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. The longest exit I've ever done. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you later.